Good morning, friends. So right after I finished up my previous video on the redesign of the Provo Temple, a couple of other things came out about upcoming temple projects, one right on top of the other. First, they announced the upcoming redesign of the Manhattan Temple. Now, this is something I am genuinely really excited about. The current temple was opened in the early 2000s. I actually remember this opening, and it's not even 20 years old as a temple yet, though, of course, the building itself is much older. In the interest of pure expediency, to offer a much-needed and prayed-for temple for the local members, it was decided to convert an existing office building. It filled an immediate need, but of course it was always intended to be a temporary solution until such time as means and opportunity provided a way to give the temple a more, temple-like look. There was not time to beautify it then. That would have to wait for a later date, and that date is finally getting closer. So I'm really excited about this one. Centered in the heart of Manhattan, across from the famous Radio City Music Hall, this temple will finally be getting the beautiful look it so deserves. And this, too, is an answer to a prayer for many. The new design has some truly gorgeous elements. The tall stained glass windows stretching from street level to the roof. There seems to be potential for more subtle detailing, with that classic New York Art Deco feel, and the gold-capped spire looks incredible. So I'm really excited for the beautification of the Manhattan Temple. Just after that, photos were released of the newly refurbished historic St. George Temple. And let me just say, my jaw dropped when I saw the photos of the baptismal font especially. This may well be the most beautiful font I've ever seen in my life. I love the little homages to the history of Utah and the early saints, the rich wood and the gilded details with the beehive emblem on the steps. It just blew me away. And the rest of the interior is likewise pretty stunning. I love the pale blue and gold color palette happening here. It manages to look both homey and elegant at the same time, which seems perfect to me. Certainly, this is very pleasing unto God. And this brings me to a topic that seems to get a little lost from time to time, and even seems to be a bit divisive at the moment, which is the topic of beauty and the beauty of our temples and the need to add beauty to the world. I've been a part of many conversations over the past couple of weeks in which people are quick to point out that the work is more important than the exterior trappings of the building in which that work gets done, to the point where they tend to assert that the beauty of the building is entirely unimportant and irrelevant. This simply isn't true. Now, to be clear, no one should be denying that the work is vital and the more important of the two, absolutely. Obviously, it is. The work of the Lord is the same work whether it's done in the grandest of edifices or a tent in the wilderness. So let's get that straight right from the get-go, that the work is absolutely the most important thing, and God will find any way to make that happen no matter what. Now that that's been said, pointing out that the one is more important does not make the other unimportant, merely of somewhat lesser importance. The fact is, the beauty of our temples is actually important, even if it trails behind other priorities, and we are blessed, so blessed, to live in a time and place where we don't have to choose one or the other. We can allow for both, and we should. Brigham Young said, and I quote, "Progress and improve upon and make beautiful everything around you. Build cities, adorn your habitations, make gardens, orchards, and vineyards, and render the earth so pleasant that angels may delight to come and visit your beautiful locations." He further said, "Take a Da Vinci or a Michelangelo or a Shakespeare and give him a total knowledge of the plan of salvation of God and personal revelation and cleanse him. And then take a look at the statues he will carve and the murals he will paint and the masterpieces he will produce. Take a Handel with his purposeful effort, his superb talent, his earnest desire to properly depict the story, and give him inward vision of the whole true story and revelation, and what a master you have." End quote. Brigham Young understood, as have others, that beauty and the skill to create it have incredible power to uplift and inspire. Beauty offers hope. It heals the spirit. There's a lot of research that shows that humans actually need and crave beauty. Cities that actively work towards beautifying their communities notice an almost immediate change in their environment, always towards the positive. The creation of beauty is also a gift of God. And historically, traditionally, artisans have always reserved their best work to honor their God. This is part of the law of consecration as well, to give the best of our time and talents towards God and to the perfection of his work, including the beautification of his Zion cities. So beauty is a godly thing, and Zion is described in Psalms as, quote, the perfection of beauty, unquote. We're repeatedly told today by prophets that we are charged to build Zion, but from Scripture we know that that part of building Zion is actually beautifying it. We are to, quote, beautify and glorify Zion in the last days, unquote. As it says in the Doctrine and Covenants, for Zion must increase in beauty as well as in righteousness. And again, Brigham Young says there is a necessity to embellish and beautify. Not just an option, but he says a necessity. This is something that is actually needed on earth as part of building Zion. And it's not a light thing. It's not a frivolous thing. It's a prophetic and scriptural thing. The cities of Zion in beauty and magnificence will outstrip anything that is now known upon the earth. That's an incredible thing to think about, especially when we can observe so many beautiful cities in the world already, to recognize that Zion will be so beautiful that it will outgorgeous all of what we currently have knowledge of, and we're meant to be a part of that. We will be helping to build it. What a blessing, what an opportunity, what a great chance to use the best of our talents to build cities for God. We should think about the power of beauty, the way it pulls people. The Salt Lake City Temple draws millions of visitors, often from outside the faith, every single year. They come because of its beauty. They're drawn to the stunning architecture of the building and in the process are able to learn about what the church teaches. Beauty itself can and should be a tool we can utilize to show people outwardly what we seek to strive for inwardly. It is powerful as a symbol of our godly natures. So I am thrilled to see the work of beautification going forth in our church, knowing what real power it has to change hearts and minds and draw people closer to God. I seek after the lovely because beauty is a good thing and it reflects who we are. Let's be grateful for the chance to use our gifts to beautify as God has asked us to do. Let Zion in her beauty rise.